lounging, son.
All right, welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan.
I'm Manny.
And we're here today with a free comic book day episode. We're going to talk about some of the free comic book day comics that came out. May not dive deep into them, but we'll definitely talk some of our favorites, and then even give some shout outs to some, because I know that we talking back and forth, you grabbed a couple I wasn't able to get, but there was a ton of good stuff. I
feel like this is one of the best years recently with some of the stuff they've offered. There's always cool stuff every year, but I feel like maybe last year there was kind of slim pickings, at least for me. But this year, dude, I mean, there was shit that I thought was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think your stack's a little bit bigger than mine, but
my shop was real nice to me. The guy let me go buck wild.
Yeah.
He usually limits to the customers 5 per, but he knows I do a podcast. I hang out there sometimes with him. So he's a bud. So he wasn't.
And I'm employed, I'm employed by shop, so I get to pick what I pick. But I think what's important, like before we get into it too, is there's a reason why maybe you got some I didn't. Maybe not everybody. I'm sure everybody watching us or listening to us knows that comic book stores have to pay for these. They're not free to them.
Yeah.
They're still paying for them. Yeah, they're not paying a lot, but you have to think about it in terms of like, if there's only like 2 people, am I gonna buy this? You know what I mean? Like, am I going to buy these bundles of comics? So usually, obviously, the Marvel DC are the first ones to get, and then it starts going when you go into the lower tiers of like, they have the gold tier, the silver tier. I think they have a bronze tier. I can't remember. That's not important, but so like that's why some stores won't have every single comic. They're kind of selective in terms of what they're, the audience of their store, who they're trying to get. Obviously, the kids' comics, you always want to have those, because that's the future generation of comic book readers. And then from there, it's like maybe you don't get one of the super indie publishers, right?
Right.
But either way, a lot of good stuff. Well represented in terms of like the publishers. A couple surprises in terms of what I saw. Not necessarily surprised that I liked it, but surprised I liked it as much as I did.
Yeah, dude, I have a couple that stood out too, like especially just like things that I figured I would have kind of liked, but not that it was so like kind of cool and well done, and then a couple of surprises, like upcoming storylines for the big 2 that seem cool, so
let's start off with
this is fun. Let's see which one you start off with. We've talked about it, but not a whole lot in detail, so it's like this is
probably not the book you'd think I'd start with. Let's start with Conan, the Barbarian from
Titan. Dude, I just read that one last night, right before I went to bed.
So I'm a huge Conan fan, not for the same reason you are. I haven't read most of the stuff. I know that you and I have gone back and forth, because we're always talking to each other, messaging stuff about what we want to do on the channel. And you're like, let's do some John Buscema Conan. And I haven't read probably maybe 1 or 2 comics. It's just not something that was on my radar. I came into Conan, obviously I saw the movie when I was a kid, but a lot of the Dark Horse stuff, when Kurt Busiek was writing that stuff, Carrie Nord on art, phenomenal, right? So like Marvel got it back. They had it for a little while, and Jason Aaron did a great job. Some other good stuff, Savage Avengers, stuff like that. They lose the license, and it goes to Titan. They got a great creative team.
On this
book, they got Jim Zub, Raphael.
He is one of the better writers out there. Like, he doesn't get a lot of hype, but he's been around forever. Has written multiple properties. Like, is a huge fantasy fan. He wrote a bunch of D&D comics. D&D and Rick and Morty. He's been around.
And then I thought it was Raphael De La Torre, but it says Rob De La Torre. One of the best colors in the business, Jose Villarrubia, who has
that stuck out immediately.
He's been doing some phenomenal work. He's been recoloring stuff. I know he recolored the Len Wein, Bernie Wrightson Swamp Thing Absolute that they just released not that long ago. I have it. I just haven't cracked it open yet. Anyways, and then you got Richard Starkings as the letter. This is the book that I told you that I knew I would like, or I had a feeling I would like, but I didn't know that I would like it as much as I did. What a great Conan comic. They're talking about early days of Conan. Titan is a publisher, that I don't necessarily pick up books from, because like they do a lot of magazines, right? Like they do like the Star Wars Insider, they'll do other stuff like that. And they do have comic books. It's just, there's nothing that's super. I don't like Doctor Who, so like I don't pick up those comics. I know they do those too. I know they've done like a Cowboy Bebop. comic based on the animated series on Netflix, or no, the live action series on Netflix. I mean, this is going on the poll. This is
same, dude. I mean, I
good.
already told my comic shop story out because he messaged me. He's like, "Oh, so did you look through the stuff? What did you think?" And I'm like, "Bro, there's a bunch of good stuff." I mean, off the bat, dude, like the art style and the way it's done reminds me of like Bronze Age. You know, like
Yes.
there's modern production value here, but they're trying to invoke, I think, a Bronze Age feel with like, you know, like the narrative style, like the layouts, the art, the coloring. Like they're really giving it that feel.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and if you're a Conan fan, old Conan fan, new Conan fan, I think this is a great entry point. We won't, you know, first off, we're not going to get too far into like super details with the comics. We're just going to like give a little hype to it because they're free. They're not hard to get. You guys can go and get these books. We don't have to worry about like breaking your pocketbook or your wallet or anything. But yeah, super stoked for it. I love that they're re-releasing some omnibus that Marvel actually released not that long ago, but they're saying there's color restoration. So I'm wondering if they did their own color restoration for their collections. I don't know. Either way, I'm all on board for this Conan book. I'm very excited. It's so good.
Yeah. The next one I want to talk about is the I Am Stan. You know, like the little excerpt floppy of Tom Scioli's upcoming biography of Stan Lee. Now, you know, he did the Jack Kirby, you know, the epic life of Jack Kirby, the King of Comics, a couple of years ago. I think it's been a couple of years, right?
Yeah. And that was one of like the early videos I did on the channel. Yeah.
So now he's doing one on Stan Lee, and like, man, like I love Tom Scioli's, you know, art, and I love what he did with the Jack Kirby book. So when he announced that he was doing one on Stan Lee, I got like really excited. And you know, it's interesting to see him tell some of these same stories from a different perspective. And what I like, I mean, the art style is undeniably Scioli, but he's going for a different style that he did with Jack Kirby here. You know, like the Kirby book was obviously a lot of it was kind of laid out as an homage to Kirby and all this. Like this is a little different, and I just think it's great, man. You know, I'm a comic fan, so I love comic book history. I love, you know, stories about creators as much as I love stories about the things that they create. So, you know, I'm all on board for this, and you know, I think it was a great idea to have Scioli, you know, do these biographies. I would love to see him do more. You know, like what if he does one on Steve Ditko? What if he does one on?
I was just gonna say,
you know what I mean? Like I would love to see a series of I Am, or like, you know, whatever he wants to call them, books on different comic book creators, because you know Scioli's passion comes through and through on the things that he loves. You know, if you watch his Total Recall podcast, you know, like you could see he's at his heart, he's like a fanboy geek, like we are. You know, like much more than Ed and Jim are even. You know what I mean? Because at least he talks about this stuff more. You know, he loves Star Wars. So he immerses himself in.
He loves
things.
pop culture too. It's
exactly.
more a broad love.
Yeah. So it's great to see him do these books, and like I love the way that the pages are colored. You know, I love the coloring in it. Like, you know, I love his word balloons and his lettering. Like, I mean, Scioli is one of the premier cartoonists now, and I love these biographies he does. So, and I love that they do these little floppies because it feels like a nice little teaser for the actual book. Because this is going to be a hardcover, you know, graphic novel when it's released later on this year. It's coming out September 12th. It says so on the back. So
yes,
you know.
I'm stoked for it. Yeah, Steve Ditko would be great. I think there's a reason though that maybe the Stan Lee and the Jack Kirby ones are good. Like he has more of a connection. I personally would think it would be cool if somebody did like a Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster. You know, because we've got novels.
I could see him doing that one actually. That's a good, you know.
Because we've got novels and stuff about it, but it'd be cool to see it in this format. And yeah, shout out to 10 Speed Press for doing these. They do a lot of interesting projects, you know, like they did obviously they published the Jack Kirby one too. They've done the comic book history of basketball, or comic book story of basketball. They've done a lot of those type of books. But yeah, I think Tom Scioli is like one of the best in the biz, and I really dug that. I'm excited to, you know, read the entire thing because it is interesting the way he's doing it from a different aspect, you know, as opposed to the way we got it from Kirby's point of view.
And I just love how in both these books he draws the main characters a little bit more cartoony than the people around them to give them sort of like their own feel, like especially like with the way he draws the eyes and stuff.
I'll just talk about DC real quick. The Dawn of DC Night Terror.
That's funny. I had my hand on that one too, bro.
Special edition. So this is going to be the new summer event. This is going to every once in a while DC tends to do this where they'll take like 2 months off. They have the tie-ins, like they'll have like the 2-issue miniseries that tie in, and all the line of books are basically put on pause. So sometimes I like it, sometimes I kind of don't, because I miss the books by the end of the 2 months, and I'm like, I wish they didn't take a break, but I get it. Like this is supposed to be a company line crossover. I'd almost rather them do this than take spots from the main narrative. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't necessarily like that either. But it's interesting because, first of all, Joshua Williamson's running it. Chris Bachalo on art. That's not something you see, or you haven't seen him in a DC book. I mean, I don't know. I'm going back to like Shade the Changing Man when he did it back then, or Death.
I was gonna say Death, the High Cost of Living.
So I feel like he made his move to Marvel and he never came back. So to see him do this and like just like this insane double page spread, you start off with Damian Wayne and he's dreaming, but like it's nightmare fueled, right? And then you get Howard Porter doing the last couple pages, and I feel like it's a nice little teaser for what's going to come. The standout for me really was the art. Not just, I love Joshua Williamson, don't get me wrong, love his writing, but the art, getting to see Bachalo in the DC universe, it made me want more. Like I got to see more.
And I love the way he draws Damian. I mean, like some of these, I mean, beautiful. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. For like a free comic, dude, this shit, like I would have paid for this shit. Like
But then look, these are the tie-ins. This is what sometimes frustrates me. But whatever, like I probably for the most part will just not get a lot of these. I'll just pick them up and trade when they collect them that way. It's just easier, dude. I'll save a little money for those 2 months, But I love this, I always love this when you have the design for
that and there's some cool, like I love like the Night Terror's Robin, the really cool character designs.
So it's cool. We're getting to see like these nightmare versions of some of these characters, and then in the back you have some of the variant covers, obviously. So not a lot of comic, mostly just a very small teaser. I'd almost call it like a trailer. It's not a full issue, and some design work, some covers. So I'm definitely excited for the book. This I feel like would have been better maybe Free Comic Book Day, or maybe also on Free Comic Book Day, because I know it's going to be free, but it's like, well, why didn't you just release it on Free Comic Book Day? It's like they want to.
That's true. I didn't even notice that.
So that's going to be like a whole like preview of the dawn of DC type of stuff they're doing. So there's going to be a lot more stuff going on in there. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Night of Terror or Night Terrors.
Another one I want to talk about next is Fishflies by Jeff Lemire.
Dude, I missed that. I didn't see it when I was grabbing it.
It's Jeff Lemire writing and drawing and doing all the work for a new title from Image, and it's hard to tell what this is about because there's no like explanation. It's just like a little excerpt from the story. But it seems to be like a fusing of like the sort of small town stuff that Jeff Lemire is really good at, and he started doing when he was an indie cartoonist before he became a writer for the big two, and then like a lot of the horror stuff that he's been doing at Image. So like because there is horror imagery here, and so it seems like he's melding these two worlds, and it's about these kids and they're outside a convenience store and there's all these dead fish flies, and then it also cuts to like a man in a field who's been shot and like what's the connection. And it's just like you said, like a little teaser, but it's just enough to make me want to like at least check out the first issue when it comes out. And I love Jeff Lemire's line work when he draws, and it looks like he's doing even some like watercolorish like stuff in the background for some of these pages, So it's really beautiful, man. And like there's something very delicate about the way he draws that I really love. And I'm excited, man. Anytime he's drawing something, I think it's worth at least a first look. So I'm definitely gonna pick up the first issue when it comes out. And it was a nice surprise that they did a book about this one, So you see it on Free Comic Book Day, grab it. It's really pretty.
Yeah, I'm excited for that book. I know he was serializing it on his Substack, and I don't know if it's gonna be. I think it's just gonna be an original graphic novel. I think, or maybe it's a series. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. All right, well, we'll talk about that book that's in your hand since you pulled it up. The Spider-Man Venom issue. So we got, Zeb Wells, Patrick Gleason on the first story. We got Al Ewing and Cafu on the backup, the second story rather, with Venom.
Venom, yeah.
I really like the dude. We've been saying it, dude. I don't think we need to really. We've been loving Zeb Wells and his run on Spider-Man. It makes me wish we had some Patrick Gleason art to go with that run, because I think he draws such a great Spidey. It's like one of my
Yes,
favorites.
dude.
That was
His
like
art
what
is great.
yeah, that's what I liked about. If I had to say something, one thing I liked about Spencer's run, it was when Gleason was drawing the book. But I
Yeah.
think it's a funny story, you know. Like obviously if you haven't been reading Spider-Man for a while, he's wearing a costume built by Norman Osborn. You got to read the book, the ongoing, to kind of like understand why, if you want to know more. And then he's fighting this gorilla.
Yeah,
Like,
Spider-Man fighting a gorilla is just a funny idea,
yeah, and like everybody's like basically like saying it's animal abuse and stuff, like
yeah.
when he's fighting this
It's
gorilla. And
classic Spider-Man stuff, like he can't catch a break. It's like it's a cool little story, like that anybody can read. Like if you're curious about what's going on in Spider-Man right now. So great use of the free comic book day, like format for Marvel to do that.
Oh hell yeah! And I will say one appearance. I won't spoil the other one. I mean, if you look at the solicits, you'll know what's coming. But I love that obviously, why is there an animal? Craven has something to
Yeah,
do with it. Why is Craven there? You guys can read the
you'll
issue to
see on
find
the
out.
last page, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like I love that we get Craven back. That was a fun story. The Venom story was interesting.
It was.
Like
I mean, I'm a huge Venom fan. Like I
I'm
read
not
the
reading Venom,
title.
so I'm very like out of touch. I haven't been reading Venom since Donny Cates left. I think I read maybe the first 3 issues of the Ewing and Rom V.
Hmm.
It's something I want to pick up in trade and kind of catch up on. But I love that they're harkening back to the 40s, right? There's a symbiote back there, and
Yeah.
it looks like this like this unassuming like robot rubber man.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
it's it's a silly concept, but it does like like gel with like what would have been like a golden age character, like Flexo. Like I mean, I could easily imagine that being a comic book in the 40s or a character in the 40s.
yeah, and it even like has a couple cameos in the background of some of the 40s characters
Yeah,
from
which I thought was cool. Yeah.
yeah, and like that like I know those characters more from that Brubaker book, the Marvels Project. I don't know if you remember that
Hmm.
one. So
Yeah.
like that was cool, and then obviously you get like some fucking reveal of this Flexo guy that's pretty intense, and then
Yeah,
it's
dude.
obviously it's going to be continued in the pages of the Venom ongoing as it concludes, and that last image, as it ends, is pretty dope. I won't show it off, but and then we have another preview. We got a
Which
preview
I
of
was really excited about, man. I mean, we talked about it like when I saw the ad, and it's like it's Hickman and Brian Hitch and Return of the
Ultimate
Ultimate Universe.
Invasion. Yeah. So yeah, dude, it's some good stuff. Like
And I
definitely
love the Maker, man. I love that they have him in here. The Maker character is one of my favorite like recent characters, and I think I love that they made him a big part of like Donny Case's like Venom story, and like to take this character that was almost a throwaway character and make him such an interesting. And if you don't know who the Maker is, he's Ultimate Reed Richards, who is like fucking crazy and evil.
mhm.
And he actually made his brain grow bigger so he can like process more. So he's got like this odd shaped head and this weird helmet.
Yeah, Ultimate
So it
Reed
looks like
Richards
the
is such a piece of shit, but at the
yeah,
same time, such a good villain.
yeah. And I'm glad. I mean, I'm curious as to how they're gonna bring back the Ultimate Universe since it like got destroyed in one of the incursions. So we'll see. And I mean, this is Hickman returning to what he undid. He's the one that undid all that stuff with Secret Wars, his version. So let's see how he brings it back. And like Hickman is fantastic at these real heady like ideas. So I'm on board, man. And I
Yeah.
love Brian Hitch's art. So
Yeah, I'm here for it, dude. I'm very excited to see what comes from that miniseries for sure. Next up, I'm gonna talk about the Frazettaverse comic.
yeah, I grabbed that one too, man. Yeah.
I've been picking up everything. I'm a huge Frank Frazetta fan. If you know me, seen me talk about it. I've talked with his Sarah Frazetta has been on the channel multiple times. So I love this. It's the lead story is Enter the Norseman. The whole thing with Frazettaverse is taking these characters from his paintings, that don't necessarily have backstories in other media, and creating a history for them, connecting them together in terms of, that's why it's called the Frazettaverse. And Mitch Iverson's on story, Richard Pace is on art. I love the Norseman character. I mean, the image of the painting is embedded in my head. And then like as you see, like it's just like a sampling in the beginning of the story. You have Death Dealer in there, you got Sorceress, all like some of the side characters, giving you like a quick update on everything that's taken place in the Death Dealer ongoing, which is the longest series so far. I think issue 12 is coming out. And you have Sorcerer Edric, who like there was an issue like where he's like taking his own potions and it's like an acid trip. I mean, it's just insane. So I love this. It's such a great intro into the Frazetta comics to get people hyped for more. And then you have a Mothman story by Tim Hedrick and Andrea Muddy. So that's coming out soon. And then you also, which another great story. I love that the design of that character, definitely like a real sci-fi horror type band. And then you have Dawn Attack, which is about to end its run. You got Jody Hauser, Eric Campbell, Diego Yapur on art for that. Again, just I'm really loving everything they've been doing. All like each one is different than the last. Just a fun run of comics, and I am so glad that they did this for Zetaverse Free Comic Book Day. So if you haven't been reading any of this stuff, the first trade is out for Death Dealer, and even if you haven't, you could jump straight into this, and it's going to give you everything you need.
The Saturday Morning Adventures Turtles comic, like I hadn't, I'm a huge Turtles fans, and we talk about The Last Ronin all the time. It's one of our favorite titles. We also talk about like how we read the Turtles comic, but like sometimes we feel like there's like we want some old school vibe, and like I was surprised at how well this was done, and I might start checking out the actual series, because I mean the cartoon was my introduction to the Turtles as a property, so that cartoon and those stories are embedded in my head, and in a lot of ways those are the definitive Turtles to me, even though I love the comics. Like when I think Turtles, I immediately go to the cartoon, because that's what fueled my love for the characters. And it's just great to see them in this continuity again. Like, and it feels like it could be from that time. And like the art is really fucking good in this. And like it's done with so much care, like IDW is killing it. I mean, their handling of the Turtles has been magnificent from the beginning. And I love that they're giving you all these different versions of the Turtles, So if you love the cartoon, you have one. If you love like the old school Mirage series, you have Last Ronin. If you want something new and different, you have the ongoing. So like, I mean, I'm gonna check it out, because I can hear the voices of the cartoons in my head when I'm reading this, and like I can hear Shredder. They got Baxter Stockman here, and it's got the same cheesy jokes that the cartoon had. So it's very much done like perfectly. So if you love the old Turtles cartoon, you should probably give this a shot. Pick up the free comic book. Pick up the actual series. I know it's been going on for a few months now. I'm gonna add it to my pull list at least for a little while to see if I like it as much as I like this. So I had a good time with it, man.
Yeah, Eric Burnham on writing and Tim Laddie on art too. They did a great job. I've already read this story, so I picked it up not knowing, like I just grabbed it. I didn't know it was going to be a reprint of the first issue, and that's fine. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I bought the original. It was a miniseries at first. I think it was 4 issues, and then they launched another one, but it's going to be an ongoing. So now they're obviously the numbers were there for them to make it into an ongoing instead of just another miniseries. And they have I don't know of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I never watched that cartoon, so you have that in the back half of the book too. And then you have some ads for like, just like you said, there's so many different types of turtle books that they're producing, and I think that like that they show it perfectly, dude. Like there's so much turtle stuff, and also like you said, they've been handling it with a lot of care, a lot of love. So
they're giving a turtle for almost any age group, any fan, any type of fan. Like it's incredible how it also proves to you like how much variety you can get from this property.
Mm-hmm. So there's only a couple books that I really want to like dive into, or give a little bit more than like a couple words to, and so I'll jump into The Sacrificers by
I didn't get that one.
Oh, really? Okay, so it's Rick Remender's new book.
Fuck, bro, I didn't even see that one.
Yeah,
I don't think we got it.
Damn. So Rick Remender, Max Fiamora, and Dave McCaig are the creative team. It's an image book. Yeah. So like kind of like bird human type creatures, or aliens rather. It's fucking good, dude. It's really good. It like I already loved Remender. I was in the middle. I just finished my Black Science Compendium right before I was reading all the Free Comic Day comics, so I was like already really high on Remender's writing. It opens up and it's like they're farmers, right? They're just living in a rural area, family at dinner, and there's a little bit of family drama that takes place in there. And then I always love these kind of pages too, where it's like the maps of the world, showing the different, almost showing like different corners. Like you got like a reptile one, you have two different opposing kingdoms, and then you go into another area, and there's like this chick, like almost like fire cloud on top of her head. Just so much good stuff, dude. I don't want to like go into, but look at this, dude. Look at this art. You know what I mean?
That is
like,
pretty sick, man. And I mean, Rick Remender is one of my favorite writers.
So good. And then, like I said, that dad of the family, like he's getting called out, right? It's basically, it looks like he's getting called to war almost. Such a great book. Like I said, I'm not going to get too into the details with it, but if you're a Remender fan, I mean, this dude has been doing nonstop great comics. You got Black Science, you got Scumbag is one I haven't read yet.
I read some of that. It's a lot of fun.
7 to Eternity, Death or Glory.
Death and Glory I really like too. I read
you got Low, right? You got Deadly Class, obviously.
Deadly Class, I mean, that's one of my favorite comic books ever,
Tokyo Ghost, A Righteous Thirst of Vengeance, Fear Agent. I mean, this dude has been constantly killing it with his creator-owned stuff. If I'm being honest, I
had great stuff at Marvel too. He did a fun Venom run,
I like his creator-owned stuff better. If you had to put it like next to each other,
yeah, I agree.
And I had to pick only his creator-owned or his Marvel, you can take the Marvel and I'm good. I love what he's done creator-owned. I mean, it's some of my favorite series. So if this I feel like is gonna be a huge book. I know my shop, we already he's friends with Rick Remender, the owner, and we already have like an exclusive cover that we're doing for the series. He's doing he's had a signing with us for Free Comic Book Day, so I cannot wait for this book to drop. I'm upset that I feel like I don't know what month it starts, but I feel like it's going to be a couple months too that we have to wait before we get the actual start of the series. Yeah, it doesn't even say the release date, but yeah, definitely worth picking up.
Did you pick this up?
Oh, come on, of course,
of course,
dude. Yeah, that was the only.
This was a
book
good
that
one
I wanted
too,
to
man.
dive into. Yeah. So
you can go ahead, man. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so Uncanny Avengers. It's funny that we're talking about that because Remender is the one that launched Uncanny Avengers back when Hickman was writing that book, and they, we're shuffling the titles around. Jerry Duggan, Joshua Cassara. Jerry Duggan's been doing some great X-Men stuff.
Yeah.
Joshua Cassara was killing. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's still artist on X-Force, but I love his art. Marte Gracia.
Yeah, dude, the art is beautiful. Like, it stood out,
First off, I like this lineup, dude. You know what I mean? You got Rogue, Deadpool, Psylocke, Quicksilver, Captain America, and Penance. I'm a huge Quicksilver fan. Deadpool, yes. And then I mean there's really no character on this team that I'm not stoked for. So you start off right, and there's this guy, dude, and you don't know who he is. You still don't even learn who he is. I love that. So there's the mystery of this guy. He's obviously against mutants. He breaks into their treehouse. I mean, that's what it is. It's a fucking treehouse in the middle of New York City, and the Hellfire Gala is taking place at the same time. And he goes in and he infects the treehouse, and he's standing in front of that Captain Krakoa costume. And then you got Cyclops wearing one of my favorite superhero costumes of all time.
Yeah, he's wearing the 90s costume.
I mean, that is what it's all about, bro. And so he takes him down in a pretty fucked up way, dude. And then this dude, who I'm assuming is human, steals the Captain Krakoa costume. And then you jump forward, and we have somebody else on art, but it's still connected. It's still connected to the main story. You got Cap being attacked, Rogue saving him, Captain Krakoa, I think it's attacking at the UN, right? Oh, it's at the Capitol. It's at the Capitol in DC. You got a new appearance of some mutant hunting machines, which I won't spoil that part. That was also great. And Javier Garron was the artist on the back half of the book. So it's all Uncanny Avengers. It's all connected, but there's two artists that are doing it. On top of the fact that you have an appearance of somebody that hasn't been in the book in a while. Deadpool's daughter makes an appearance. And so I'm excited for this team. And then you got that backup story. Once again, Hickman. His new book. it's called Gods, and it says
Yeah.
what happens when the powers that be meet the natural order of things. A romance at the crossroads of science and magic. That's like the hook for it, right? And Valerio Schiti is the artist. You got Doctor Strange in here. I don't know who that dude is. Win? I've never heard of him. So I don't know. Again, it's just like a very, very, very short teaser. It's only what, 3 pages? Yeah, 3 pages. So much like the Ultimate Invasion, but yeah, Marvel killed it this year with their free comics.
Again, it was a great year. I mean, like there's some other ones that I'm just gonna rattle off and not really get into, but I really enjoyed like Mad Balls versus Garbage Pail Kids was actually a lot of fun, and like
didn't see that one either.
Like the art has like a almost like underground comics feel to it, you know, like very Mad Magazine in its like humor. So if you like that kind of like, you know, like the parody stuff that Mad would do with the strips and stuff like that, you know, I've always like been curious about this because as a kid I loved Mad Balls and Garbage Pail Kids. I mean, I have freaking figures of them both on my shelf, so that was fun. Fantagraphics did like a fabulous Freak Brothers thing because they're re-releasing some of that, you know. Yeah. So like I love underground comics. Like so that was a fun one.
I thought this was kind of fun too. The Cursed Library from Archie Comics.
Yeah,
you know, the Archie horror stuff.
I love Archie horror, and I love how they play around with the format and the genre. So yeah, that was a good one.
We got to do that first Archie one, that first horror one they did. What is it?
Afterlife with Archie.
Afterlife with Archie. We got to do that one. I just picked it. I haven't read it, and I picked the first trade a couple weeks ago, so I would love
Red Sonja, you know, like I actually haven't read this one yet. I'm going to, but it's cool. It has a new Red Sonja story, and it also reprints in the back an old school like reprint of one of the Marvel, like one of the Roy Thomas stories.
The Frank Thorne art?
No, Dick Giordano, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, Frank Thorne stuff is amazing. That was fun, you know. I picked up I haven't read this either, but Fright Night is an old '80s horror movie that I love, and like
I didn't see that either. Okay,
based on the property, that could be fun. Some publisher called American Mythology Productions, you know.
Oh, I know that company. They do a lot of like I know they've done like Felix the Cat comics not that long ago. I think they do like
and you know the art seems really, you know, there's something cool about it. And I love Fright Night. If you haven't seen it, it's about a kid who thinks his neighbor's a vampire, and this horror movie host like helps him, and like it's a lot of fun. So it could really turn into a comic. And there actually was a Fright Night comic in the late 80s, early 90s from Now Comics. If you remember that company, they did like some of the early Terminator books and weren't very great. But like
they also did Married with Children comics too.
Yes, they did. I remember picking all those up at like a drugstore near a hospital where my aunt at the time was having like going to get chemotherapy. So I would go with her every week as a kid. And I would just buy like Married with Children, Fright Night comics, Terminator, and like read them. So like as soon as I saw it, I was like, I'll check it out, Fright Night. But yeah, there's a great year for Free Comic Book Day, man. Like I'm glad to see that.
Dark Horse had a couple good ones. They had Umbrella Academy. I'm kind of like I haven't been reading Umbrella Academy, so I think I haven't read the last one, so I wasn't super up to date on it. But obviously, I mean, dude, Gabriel Bau's art and Gerard Way's writing is phenomenal, and you have you got a Witcher story in the back, which also I'm not very familiar with the Witcher franchise. I haven't played the game. I haven't read books. I haven't read the comics. So, and you know, I love
Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, I'm kind of oversaturated on that. I used to love it when I was younger, but it's cool that they're doing comics about it. You know, like that's definitely gonna be a big seller, I think.
Yeah, and then we got like the all ages Star Wars High Republic 2 Adventures. You know, they got that over there, and then an Avatar.
IDW did a Star Trek one, which I'm like checking out as well. Because I'm a huge Trekkie, and like the new Trek comics are something I haven't really been reading. And our you know, we have the same friend Eli Schwab, and he's a big Trekkie too, and he's told me that the some of the Trek comics actually are pretty good. So I think I'm gonna start at least checking some of them out because I love the ones that DC did back in the day as a kid. You know, I still buy those in dollar bins when I see them. But yeah, man, great year for a Free Comic Book Day, man. Like there was a cool Smurfs comic I bought that's like a smaller format. And it reprints like I guess like the early Smurf strips, which were a French like comic, and like the art's really cool, man. And it's like, you know, it almost has like a Tintin kind of vibe to it. So I was flipping through that. Interestingly, I see a lot of TGC player ads on the back of some of these. I guess they're doing comics now.
It feels
I was talking about it with
feels like almost all of them have that, except like from the. I guess it's mostly Image has it. IDW doesn't. Frazettaverse doesn't have it.
So I don't know if that means they're distributing or what they're doing, or are they selling only great? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's I haven't really checked it out, but I did notice it in the owner of my shop, Tom. He said he's like, you notice all that TGC shit back in the background in the back? I was like, actually, yeah. Now that you mention it,
Or they're
because
just paying for the ads.
the card market is huge right now with Magic and all this shit. So
Yeah.
but
But
yeah,
yeah, dude,
great year,
great
man.
year.
It's always great. Free comic book day has become like a holiday for me. I always get excited. I always make sure I don't have to work or do anything on that day because I love to go to the shop and hang out and see the different type of people that come in. It's great to see little kids come in and get excited to get their comics. Like really, at the end of the day, like this day is not for you and me. You know what I mean? Like we're already going to the shop every week. This day is to get new people in there. And I love that it's obviously been working because the companies keep putting money into it. So I think it's great, man.
Yeah.
Make the shop make some money. Like get people in there. You get it's just great. I mean, I was there for the first free comic book day,
I
and
remember.
yeah, and I've been going to the shop. I make sure to go to a comic shop wherever I'm living at on that day. So
Yeah, no, it's great. There's a lot of stuff we didn't get probably. I know there's like a Boom Ranger Academy book that I haven't read
yeah, I
yet.
didn't get that
I
one.
grabbed this for my kid, this dog man who's Dave Pilkey's like huge, right? In the
Oh, I
Scholastic
mean, dude, I mean,
market.
you want to talk about best-selling comics right now? That probably at the top of the game.
Yeah. So, a lot of good stuff. And yeah, I'm glad we did this. I
And
haven't
comics for everybody. What I love about the free comic book day shit is something we always talk about on our weekly, episodes about how there's comics there for everybody. I mean, in this fucking stack right here, there's literally comics for anybody, dude. Like,
yeah.
and I'm gonna save some of these and put them in those little lending libraries for like, cartoonist
Oh,
kayfabe
that's a good
Christmas.
idea. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I found a new little lending library. I go for walks every 2 days around my neighborhood, and I found a new one, so I've already scoped it out and I know where I'm gonna put it. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great idea, dude. Yeah. Again, yeah, what a great year for Free Comic Book Day. Always get out there, support your local comic shop if you can. There's comic books for everybody, like you said. And yeah, dude, I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we decided to do a special episode on all
it
these
was
books.
fun, man. It was
Yeah,
fun. I was so excited to go through these. I'm still gonna go through them. I'm gonna
yeah.
give some of them away. I'm gonna save some because I have a little short box with some of my favorite free comic book day stuff and that I've kept forever. So
Mhm.
some of these are going in there. The ones that I'm not, like the more kid like ones, or the ones that I'm just gonna buy the regular issues. I'm gonna give away on Cartoonist Kayfabe, Christmas in
In
July.
July.
So
Oh yeah, dude.
yeah.
Well, yeah, dude, another great talk on some comic books, dude. And if you're not already following us, make sure you follow us. Manny's links are down below. Comic Lounge links are down below. Hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, so you're notified every time a new vid goes up. And on that note, we're out.
See you next time.